Yo guys, what's going on? Ace is here today with another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the most recent event in Escape from Tarkov in patch 12.11 being the dehydration event and why it was a complete disaster, a complete failure, and why it was actually a success in some reasons. So, we're going to be talking about that here today. I would really appreciate if you guys could all leave a like. I'm going to try and do my best to kind of give you both sides of the story for this event. How the Chads played, how the casual played, everything under the sun. I'm going to do my best to kind of explain this one and give you the reasoning behind why it kind of was a success for some players and it was a failure for most. So we're going to try and cover all sides. I'd appreciate that like, but I do understand some people are going to get triggered because it was such a shitty experience for some players, and we're going to start with that. Why did the event fail? What went wrong in this system that happened with this dehydration event? Well, I'm going to give you the most basic way to put it. So imagine that you're stuck in a constant loop of not having heals and just constantly dying and being unable to play your PMC. That is exactly what actually was happening. So your PMC, you played one raid. Maybe you were just not knowledgeable of the fact that there was a dehydration event. Your hydration went down to 0. You used your last water bottle in that raid. Now you have no drinks whatsoever in your stash, and you're under level 20. Now, I tried to put out a guide when I did my how to profit off the event. I told you guys that you need to have that hideout upgraded so you can use that nutrition unit. You need to know where these food spawns are, all of that stuff. But for everybody who was ill-prepared, really, and didn't have the knowledge of that stuff, they found themselves in this really interesting situation of not being able to purchase water from therapists since BSG removed it from therapists and not having any knowledge of the food spawns. So essentially their PMC here was not playable because they were stuck on 0 hydration. Now, keep in mind the dehydration recovery rate out of raid would have been for casual players who are under level 20 a lot slower than what we have up at the level 40s, the max hideout, which would have been 0.9 during the event. That might even have been as low as 0.5 or even lower because of having no upgrades. So keep that in mind. If you were a Chad the whole time, you got to understand that their hydration recovery was probably cut in half of what it already was cut down to. So you have this PMC character that is your main character to really do anything on, and to even level up, you have to play your PMC to get to level 20. So even if you were level 19 and stuck in the 0 hydration loop, you were still fucked. So what players were doing is using their scavs, okay? Obviously, players were starting to use their scavs and just get raids in like that. But what players were not doing on their scav were going to woods, were going to interchange to go to Goshen. They weren't going to these high food spawn areas. They were just playing as normal, just playing for loot. That's exactly what you don't want to do during one of these events. You have to just say fuck it and do what you don't want to do. You have to go find those food spawns, and a lot of players simply didn't do that. So what happened is they die on their scav on a map like Customs, and then they have to wait 20 minutes to play again. They just can't go in a raid. The only map you would have been able to even have a chance to play would be Factory, and that's if you had 5 hydration and you can play for a minute and a half. If you had a factory key. If you don't even have a factory key, you were just fucked in general. So that is where it went wrong. The 0 hydration loop made it so that PMCs were unplayable and players could only use their scav, and they were still dying and not going for those hydration items. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. It's very, very easy and simple for you to go to youtube.com, type in interchange food spawns, woods food spawns, Tarkov, and you would find a countless amount of videos on where to find food. You load up your scav, you go to those spots on the map, you get hydration items, you leave the raid. It is extremely, extremely simple. Every scav raid, you restart with 100 hydration anyway, so using those in raid on your scav is completely pointless. With a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of research, you could have easily made it through this event, and I don't care what your excuse is. It is actually that simple. But at the end of the day, for players who are under level 20 and having the water removed from therapists was the nail in the coffin, guys. That is actually what ruined the event. Players were getting by, don't get me wrong. But once the water was removed, this took everything out of control. And that's when the 0 hydration loop really, really took off. So let's talk about why this event was actually a success. Now, every single casual player listening right now, guys, I have some pretty unfortunate news for you. This is a hardcore FPS game. This game is still in beta, not even close to complete yet. When I tell you that at some point in the future, there is going to be radiation, there is going to be infection, diseases, temperature control, as you can see on all of these screens. Right here is just a little sneak peek at some of the things to come. If you thought that a little bit of hydration was a problem, wait till gas grenades are in the game. Wait till landmines are in the game. Wait until claymores are in the damn game. There is so many things to come that are going to piss you off even more than a little bit of a dehydration inconvenience. So I'm warning you now, be prepared for what's to come. Nikita has already said that the game is too easy as it is. They are actively making the game harder and more realistic. And this is just part of that. That was a test. It was a couple days. I do think the event ended prematurely due to all the negative feedback. But at the end of the day, Nikita has now gotten the feedback that he did indeed make the game harder. They might try to tweak it in the future to make it a little bit easier for the casual player base, because obviously you still need players to play your damn game. It's still a video game, but it was a step in the right direction for him, I would say, in my personal opinion. Why did the event flop? Because of the zero hydration loop is the main reason. So I would say if we had another heatwave event, you would want to go into therapist. You would want to give therapist an unlimited water supply and hike the price up to 30,000 rubles per bottle. That is your takeaway. So you get them to spend more money. It's more of a money sink for all the casual players. You make the, water just infinite, has an infinite supply. That way that the flea market prices stay controlled because it's an infinite supply. There's not going to be any going anywhere. It won't go any higher than 30K. And, maybe make a couple other hydration items available, such as an Aquamari from Jaeger for 60,000 rubles during a dehydration event. I think taking the water away was a complete miss on BSG's part, but I do think them testing the event and seeing the feedback from the community was much needed and something that they now have permanently for the rest of the game's future and for the near future for any upcoming events. So I tried to look at both sides here in today's video. If anything stood out to you, as I had any misinformation at all, or if you'd like to tweak a couple things here, like maybe infinite water supply, but 30K is too cheap. Maybe make it 50. Maybe 30K is too much. Make it 10. Let me know your changes. But I would say we're going to see more events like this in the future. We've already had Nikita say that at some point, dealers are going to completely run out of items. That's what just happened. And we saw it firsthand what happened. The community backlash was pretty large from the casual player base, but anybody over level 20, basically all that happened was they either bought the stuff on the flea market or they just didn't give a shit because they had max metabolism like myself. With max metabolism in this event, hydration was not anything I worried about, because when I hit zero hydration from being dehydrated, nothing happens to me. I don't take damage, I don't die, I continue the raid as normal. That's one of the elite level perks. So all chads didn't care. Okay, it's as simple as that. This was a primarily casual based feedback on the event. That's where it's at right now. So anything I might have left out, you can always throw in the comments. Try to keep it civil down there, guys. Chads versus Timmies, casuals versus veterans, whatever you want to call yourselves. Keep it civil in the comments. I do think overall the event was a complete disaster, and that's just from me looking in on the outside. As I said, it didn't affect me one bit, and honestly, I didn't even notice anything. So with that being said, make sure you drop a like on this video. Try to, play both sides there, as I said. Make sure you subscribe for more content in the future. We'll be talking about any future events here. If you want to be the first one to know about it, make sure you stick around here on the channel, sub. You can be on top of these things. And yeah, man, so check out the sponsors and equipment I use in my entire gaming setup in the description below. Membership option next to the subscription button really does help support the channel, but is not necessary. Just thank you for stopping by, man. I appreciate you guys. That's going to be it. Thank you for watching. I'm out.